and that's in Bass Lake, California. There are no other items.
Okay. Is there any public comment on these items? Seeing none, so we'll go into closed session and go from there.
Got it.
It has a nice stair-step effect, I'll say, into being full-time law enforcement, either on the sworn or the non-sworn side. And just another quick story was one of our cadets. So in Tom's area, we had a burglary Saturday morning. They broke into what used to be Crab Cakes. It's now called the Farmhouse, and we had to do a bunch of work and put the dog in the attic and introduce him to the person who went in the attic and hid under the insulation. However, that makes it really busy for the dispatcher. Well, one of these cadets who came up through the Explorer program and is now a Cadet 1, so he's going to junior college and working for us part-time, went in the dispatch center to help. And he was able to do that because in the Explorer program, he learned to persevere at all the basic stuff you have to do. And so he was able to take some, at least handle the non-emergency phone calls while the dispatcher applied themselves. Because, when you have someone in a building, there's a lot more intensity on the deputies and the dispatcher's side, so every little bit of help. So just those are two examples of what we're hoping to do in Madera County for the long term. So
It's absolutely great.
What's the age requirement for Explorer?
it's 14 to 20. And so we've, I don't know if I can talk about this because it's cut off the agenda item, but we have folks in Oakhurst, we have folks in Madera, it's all one post, and we have advisors in both. So a lot of our kids in the Valley have come from Madera South High School, and they come from there because we had a program where one of our detectives goes and participates in some of their criminal justice classes during the school year. So.
And it's not too far off the agenda, Chairman. We're still talking about the cadet program, so there's a nexus.
It was just a neat feeling, though, to have a young man like that come up to you and say thank you.
Right.
For leading them the right way, and you taking over, Jay, and doing that to these kids. It's a good feeling, I'll tell you.
Well, we appreciate the support.
Yeah, we appreciate all the stuff you guys have been doing. So we've really stepped up into the 28th century. So anyway, thank you. Oh, do we want to vote? Yeah, we have to vote on this. Any public comment on this? Seeing none from the public, what's your pleasure, board?
Motion to approve.
Second.
First and second from Max and Rob. Roll call, please.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
If I voted no, it wouldn't pass, huh?
That's right.
Yes.
All right.
Vote passes 4-0, 1 absent.
Thank you very much for the support.
Thank you. 7B.
7B, Community and Economic Development Department, Planning Division. Discussion and consideration of approval for the request of Triumph Volleyball Academy to waive the necessary fees for a conditional use permit and building permits.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Matt Trieber, Community Economic Development Director. With me here is Emily Lane, Planner 1, and Jamie Bax, Deputy Director of Planning. We have before you a brief PowerPoint presentation just to lay out what is before the board for your consideration. It's a fee waiver request, and the request is to waive $8,052 of fees for the conditional use permit and building permits associated with the Triumph Volleyball Academy. Did want to point out the two findings that the board must make in accordance with 8.03.020. Contribution of the project would benefit the whole community, and imposing the fee would constitute a hardship, which in turn would reduce the benefit to the county, and the public interest would be served by waiving or reducing the fee. Also wanted to draw the attention of the board and let you know the most recent previous actions on fee waiver requests that the board's considered dating back to an action on the North Fork CDC. Back in 2015, there was a request to waive nearly $30,000 on entitlement fees. That was for a rezone, general plan amendment, subdivision map. The board at that time voted a 50% reduction of those fees. Valley West Christian Center, that was done in 2016. There was a request for $5,829. Ultimately, the board decided on a 70% waiver of those fees. The Manor House in 2017 was a request for $7,402 for parcel map fees. Ultimately, the board waived all but $1,000, required a $1,000 fee for the Manor House. Eastern Madera County SPCA had a waiver request for building permit fees, everything anticipated and encompassed within that. And at that point, the board did have a waiver of all of those fees associated with that project. A big chunk of those were obviously the impact fees for the development. So that does complete staff's presentation. We are here just seeking the direction and what the board's desire is on this fee waiver request. I believe the owner and applicant is also in the audience if there are any questions for them as well.
Yeah, that's really when we put this on the agenda last week, I was happy you got those different ones because you never remember all the ones we've done in the past, so that was a great deal. I mean, I think people, you might put that back up there again, the waiver fee 100% for the SPCA, that's on county property, and it is benefiting 100% of all the people. The Manor House, we didn't give them 100% because they benefit a lot of people, but we thought it wasn't 100%. So, and then on the Valley West Christian Center, I don't know how we come up with 70. I thought we'd done 50, but I guess we done 70. And the Norfolk CDC, which at the time we've actually used to own that property, the county, and we did do a 50% fee. So myself on this, I could maybe see a 50% or a 40% waiver of it, but I couldn't see doing the whole thing myself personally. So I don't know what the other board members feel.
Question deal's not coming up, so, but I had a question.
Oh, it's not coming up.
It's
huh?
not
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
pressing request.
That's the reason I talked, because I didn't see them.
Yeah.
It's not working, Rhonda. So Dave, and then you up? and you-
Yeah.
Okay.
Is the, I need a little more information about the volleyball academy. Is it a for-profit, non-profit?
Good point.
You know, what are they?
Absolutely, sir, and I think the individual who owns and controls that could probably answer that better. Our understanding and what's been relayed to us is that it is a nonprofit that provides grants based on this operation for high school age and children within the
Are you the gentleman? Would you mind coming up to the things so you could answer his question? That's okay, man.
Good morning, my name's Steve Guglielmana. and-
Steve?
Yes.
Is your operation for profit or
It
nonprofit?
is for a nonprofit, and what we do is the funds that are raised through the academy help fund a scholarship that we give out to a Madera South student every year.
So are you a 501c3?
I guess. I got the paperwork here from the IRS.
Okay, as 501c3.
Yeah.
Okay. And, let's see. So you primarily serve high school students?
Anywhere from third grade through adults,
Okay.
so.
And so you said you give scholarships to Madera South?
Yeah, there's a scholarship set up for the Landon Guglielmana Memorial Scholarship Fund. That was my son. That's how this all came about. We've been hosting tournaments and things to raise money for it. And then what came up was we wanted to build a 650 square foot bathroom, and that's when I came into the planning to see about getting a permit to build it. And well, no, you can't do that. You need to come up with $8,000 to provide this
CUP.
bathroom.
Yeah.
Explain the facilities, would you? What are they and who owns them? And
It's on our property. It's,
it's on your personal property?
yes, sir. It's about 1 acre, and it's sand and 12 poles and 6 nets.
How many acres you own altogether?
10, sir.
10? Okay. Rob?
Yeah, I think that my question was answered. I was going to ask what structures, and so it's going to be a 600 square foot bathroom or shower or something?
Yeah, we
or-
currently have a porta potty, and we'd
It's
like
stinky,
something,
huh?
well, we'd like something a little nicer for people to come out and be able to sit in a regular restroom.
And I was just going to mention, I'm familiar with Steve and the tournaments and so forth that
okay.
he has, and it's been definitely a labor of love and desire to, help kids and raise their skills in volleyball and kind of take them to the next level. And it's, through blood, sweat, and tears, they've been able to move this project forward.
Good. Max? Okay. Any questions?
Yeah, I'll pass on this one.
Okay. Okay, anybody from the public have anything to say? Seeing none of the public, what's your pleasure, board?
I don't know, I feel like
It's a bit of a
50% would be appropriate.
Want to do 50%? Somebody make that motion?
It's a bit of a quandary for me, for one reason, and I may need to address county council on this. With it being private property, is that a gift of public funds?
Chairman, members of the board, it wouldn't be a gift of public funds because it, as Director Trieber pointed out, it benefits the community. You have to meet that hardship, and then it has to have a public benefit. And here, based on the project description and its purpose, there would be a public benefit, and so you wouldn't have to worry about gifting public funds.
I realize that it's a 501c3, and I realize that the operation exists now, but if the operation were to go away and he sells the property, he's going to benefit from the property. Therefore, it could be,
Well,
could
we make the motion to be only for his family? If it's sold, it could be a condition on the property that if it's sold, it goes away? Can we put that in the CUP?
We could potentially do that, and I would draw, the ordinance and the code does not require an entity to be a 501c3. The ordinance gives the flexibility to the board to do the fee waivers. We have done a few, not included on this list from years past, that weren't necessarily weren't on public properties, so to speak, that were private. But it is a good instance, and it is something we could potentially do and place a condition on the CUP that CUP is null and void at such time as the property ownership were to change hands. It's not common, but it is something that we could potentially place on that conditional use
Yeah,
permit.
but we have, on most of our CUPs, they have all those conditions, because I just remember somebody just called the other day and me and said that they were buying a piece and had a CUP on it, but what he wanted to put in, the CUP didn't cover that.
That is common. So conditional use permit, right, will only grant the approval for what is requested at that time.
Right.
But it runs with the land.
Right.
That is common. I have only seen one instance where a conditional use permit had an expiration associated with it, but they typically always run with the land, and they're not run with the ownership per se.
I don't have any problem as long as that we're not, and nothing personal, I don't even know you, but I think we cannot benefit a personal property or person's.
One like this on private property.
Yeah,
you're
I
saying,
would just,
is that
I think we have to do the limitation on the CUP if indeed the property is to be sold, the CUP is null and void.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention that, just kind of looking at where the property's located and the purpose and who's running it, I highly doubt that whoever buys this property is going to continue a volleyball camp,
Right.
just because this is, whoever buys it is buying it for the house
Right.
and maybe the 10 acres, and they're going to go look, okay, yeah, there's some bathrooms and showers back there. It's like, who cares? So I have a feeling that it's very specific to Steve
Right.
and
we're
his
not-
heart.
And we're not paying for the bathroom and showers, this is not paying for that, this is for the CUP, right, correct?
Yes, Matt, it's just our fees only.
Right.
That's all it is.
The request is for building permit and conditional use permit fees. Now, the
So
building
his-
permits are very, very minimal because it is only a 600 square foot structure.
So when we make the motion, I think we need to exclude the building permit portion. That's my thoughts about it. So that we don't get into the value of the restrooms themselves. Just for the sake of not giving public funds to a private individual.
Yeah.
So how would we word that? I'll move that we grant the request to 50% of the CUP.
I'll second that.
With the condition that
With the condition if property is sold, it expires.
So it's under the CUP only then?
Yes.
Okay. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, so if I can just restate, make sure staff and we are clear, it'll be a 50% reduction of just the entitlement conditional use permit. The building permit fees will be paid in full, and a condition will be placed on that CUP that it is null and void
What
at
does that
time
amount
of
to,
change.
dollar amount?
The conditional use permit fee is $6,607, so it would be a
half of
50%
that.
reduction of that.
So it'd be about 3,000, so.
Okay.
Is that okay with you, Rob? You second it, right?
We could make it a larger amount.
You know, I wonder if we just went one half of the total fees. Would that
Well,
be,
why don't,
or go a flat $4,000?
Well, we got a motion right now.
There we go. I'll amend my motion to read a $4,000 reduction in the fees,
Instead of 50%.
in the CUP fees.
I'll second that.
Any other questions? Any questions from the public? Roll call, please.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Vote passes 4-0, one absent.
Okay. You got your conditions.
Thank you, sirs.
Good luck.
Thank you for your work, too.
Yeah. 7C,
7C, Probation Department, Juvenile Detention Facility Division. Discussion and consideration of approval to authorize the appointment of Joanne Evans at the E-step of salary range 188, effective October 1st, 2018.
good morning.
Good morning, Board. Rick Dupree, Probation Department. The item before you is an employee that actually started off at the Probation Department in the Juvenile Hall working as a juvenile detention officer. She transferred to the Sheriff's Department as a community service officer, but during that time, she maintained her extra help status with us as a juvenile detention officer. She's been working for us for 15 years now, or it's been a long time. I don't have the paper in front of me. But anyway, she's at that E-step as an extra help employee, so now that she's back with us full-time, it would be unfortunate to start her off at a lower rate, so I'm requesting that the board continue her at the E-step of the juvenile detention officer position.
What's your pleasure?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Okay, we got a motion second. Any public comment? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Vote passes 4-0, one absent.
Thank you, Board.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, Rick.
Okay, we're going to go to item number 8, pending legislation. Any items that, anybody have anything? I don't know, it's not legislation, but I'm just going to announce it, that the Groundwater Sustainability Plan Workshop, Saturday, October 27th, at 10 to 3. It's at, in Visalia. It's the only part I don't like about it, but that's the way it goes, and it's for the whole valley, actually. And the other one, they're having 2 of them, and one of them's tomorrow at, in Visalia also, and it's at 5 p.m. to 7:30. So I've got these flyers if anybody wants, are interested in going. So I think maybe one of our staff is going to that. Any other pending legislation, anybody? Since there's not much action going on right now in both Washington and Sacramento, I don't think there will be any for a while.
It's all political.
Yeah, no kidding. Rob, any, we're going to go to supervisor staff reports.
Nothing to report.
I just going to report again about the LAFCO. It was a great convention. And then Sunday, they had the 20th annual dog fair in Oakhurst, which has been raising money for over 20 years for that new SPCA building that we waived the fees on. And the building will be done by probably December, January. It is absolutely beautiful. Those people are so dedicated. They raised over $2.5 million to build this. None of our money are coming from our taxes or anything. They've raised it all. And what a building it is. So it was a great day. We had, actually Stephanie came, she's gone now, but she was there even. So had a great turnout, had a lot of dogs, and I emceed it and had a lot of fun either kissing the dogs on the kissing contest or helping them wag their tails in the wag contest. So it was fun. Yes,
Yeah, I had
Exciting.
it was.
I
Especially me
attended
wagging my tail.
I attended the Joint Powers Authority for the water infrastructure.
Oh, good. Eric? Nothing to report. Gina?
I've got a report for you, Chairman and members of the board. I got an idea from Saturday just to pass along
Great.
some laws that are passing. There's a lot of assembly bills and Senate bills that are passing, and one that is going to affect our law enforcement is AB 748, which is going to give the public more access to body camera footage used by law enforcement, including audio and video recordings. They limit it to critical incidences, but just the law is swinging in that direction for more access for the public, and we do use body cameras, I think, with our law enforcement, but just a little snippet of a staff report from me on the ever-changing laws.
So that, they won't be able to use it unless it's a major crime?
No, there'll just be access to it under the the Public Records Act.
Oh,
And
they can
so
get it, oh, no
when
kidding.
there's,
That's interesting.
when there's a request for it, it's usually if there's open investigations, we're able to limit what we disclose because you don't want to interfere with certain
Right.
things. However, that's going to be a little bit more limited, so there's going to be more analysis if we get a request for those types of recordings with how we can withhold them.
Wow. Interesting. Rhonda?
No, sir, thank you.
Okay, well, thank you again for all the work Saturday. It was a great meeting, and we're done. Of course, we're going to take a 10-minute break and come back for the public hearings at 11 o'clock. How's that?
Good job.
Thank you.
Hey, I tried to call Sarah, but I need help getting these ballots in order because they're kind of a mess. Okay. You can run on down. Okay, bye.
There's a car in Red Ranger Lake. What? There's a car in Red Ranger Lake.
Will occur.
So it's already been a notice to the public, already been out with that?
Absolutely.
Okay, that's the main thing.
Correct.
So do we have to add anything when we make a motion either way to cover those?
I would say to add, if it's for a motion for approval, to add with the editorial edits of October 9th, 2018 as the date that was noticed for the public hearing as of the public, it was noticed earlier of the public hearing today.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Now, and also that the resolution, it's a correction, and that the resolution would become effective on December 10th, which is tomorrow, 2018, rather than December 1st, which is in the resolution.
Okay,
Say corrected as noted by the county council.
all right, that'd be perfect. Okay, staff, are you guys ready?
Good morning, Supervisor, or good morning, Chairman and Supervisors. Sean Kirkpatrick from the County Administrative Office. And with me today, I have Carlos from Wildan and Matt Traber from our Community and Economic Development Department. As you heard, there was a previous version of the resolution that had been uploaded online for this. We'd hoped to get this here a little earlier, but want to make sure everything's ready to go. So here we are today. So we do have a presentation, and this preliminary version of this was presented on August 21st, but it's since been revised following the direction of your board. So here we go.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. I'm Carlos Villarreal. I'm the project manager on this project, and we worked with the county previously in establishing the impact fees back in 2006. And as Sean mentioned, I was here back in August to present the initial results of the study, and we have a few changes we wanted to present to you today. So just so that everyone's on the same page, we're going to start with a little impact fee 101 for the benefit of the audience. Impact fees are one-time fees charged to new development. And they are to fund facilities to serve growth. So they're not to fund any ongoing maintenance or operations. And the impact fees are not to be funding what we call existing deficiencies. They're not to rectify existing facility problems. They are to serve new development and expand your inventory of facilities. So impact fees in California are governed by the Mitigation Fee Act, Government Code 66,000. There are 5 findings that need to be made. 3 of them are key findings that deal with how the analysis is conducted. We need to show that new development causes the need for the facilities, that new development will benefit from the facilities funded by the fee revenue, and that the fees are proportional to the amount of demand that new development places for facilities. And then there's a couple of housekeeping items. We need to document the purpose of the fee and show the planned use of fee revenue. So when we do an impact fee study, this is our general methodology. We first estimate existing development and then have a growth projection to get a sense of the demand from existing folks and from future folks for facilities. We identify facility standards, and I'll talk about this a little bit more in a subsequent slide. Based on the first 2 tasks, we can then determine the facilities needed to serve new development, and then allocate a share of those facilities to growth if those facilities will be serving both new development and existing development. In that case, we would also identify alternative funding to fund existing development share of new facilities, and then finally we calculate the fee schedule that the county would then adopt. So every fee category in this study uses what we call the existing inventory method. Basically, we quantify the investment that the county has made to date in a particular facility category and relate that to your existing demand for facilities. Then, as new development occurs, this method simply asks that new development contributes at the same rate proportionally that existing development has already funded. So the fees are proportional to the amount of development that occurs. So in this study, here are the impact fee categories that we looked at. General government, and that includes administrative facilities, public works, countywide public protection, so jail and those types of facilities, libraries, parks and recreation, sheriff patrol and investigation for the unincorporated areas, and fire protection facilities. So here are the growth projections we used in this revision. So I wanted to point out a couple of things. One is when we were last here presenting the draft results to you, several of you commented that the population projections seemed a little too conservative. So we had the County Economic Development Department take a look at the projections and revise the population growth projections up by about 37,000 new residents. And second is since we had finished the draft, the Department of Finance had released new numbers for 2018. So we updated the base year of the study to 2018, which had a small effect on the calculated fees.
When you say that on the last unincorporated area, population 73,000, employees 21,000, does that mean 21,000 of those 73 are workers in Madera County?
It means people who have a job within the boundaries of the county. Okay. Exactly.
Within the county?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Not employed residents. So that doesn't mean if someone in Madera County is employed in the next county over, that's counted there. No,
this is just our
physical jobs within the county. Yes.
Good to know.
Yeah. And so we went back and reran the model, and this is the maximum justified fee that we could justify using the analysis and the data that we had. So the fee per single family unit is $4,342. The maximum justified fee is $8,629, an increase of a little less than $4,300 per single family dwelling unit. But I'm going to turn it back over to Sean now. I think county staff is proposing a 5-year phase-in plan, so I will show you those fees now.
So let me go back to the previous slide for a moment. Just looking at single-family residential, if we were to implement the fees justified by the study, that would be almost double. And that is a huge increase and potential shock to the development community. That's definitely not something that we're wanting to do. And I know the board has expressed in the past that it's something that really we need to be careful about, suggesting an increase here. So this next slide, the proposed initial fee phase-in, it definitely could be implemented over 5 years. We're not suggesting sticking to that 100%. Right now, what we're proposing is an initial 20% of the increase and only implementing that first 20% now. So we definitely can come back in a year and look at moving up that next 20% and implementing it, and then using real information as to how that went. And if that's something we can make a decision a year from now as to whether we want to continue along that. Because every single time the board votes to make a change here, that it needs to come back before the board. So definitely we could have a full implementation if we do 20% of the proposed increase every single year. Within 5 years, we'll be right where we probably should be according to the study.
So right now that single family home is 4,342 currently, and if they increased, it'd be $839 per home.
No, it's an increase of $839.
Right.
So the new, yes, so the new will be $5,181. That will be the new fee.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And so that's multifamily, like apartments and stuff, is right now is $3,748.
That's correct.
Okay, and it would
For
jump up
multifamily.
$503. Okay.
It'll go up by only about $503.
And what do you got what's the? Oh, non-residential. Okay, no, go ahead. I understand. Any other questions? This thing's not working. Any other question on the board? So if you just get my attention if you have a question. Go ahead.
So visually looking at, now road impact fees do vary by location. So this is an area where there's a lot of development, and so that's the road impact fee that we've shown here. So right now in the new SR 41 South 145 region for road impact fees, the total impact fees, road plus development impact fees, is what we have on the column on the left. And then on the right is what it will be with the current proposal for implementing that 20% of the increase identified in the study. So you can see
the road impact fees aren't changing?
No, not with this item.
Okay.
I believe they increased not too long ago.
Well, to clarify, they're in the process of updating the road impact fee as well, so that'll be presented to your board in the near future.
So right now, just looking at it where it is and where it's going, you can see the increase visually there.
So before they can pound a nail, it's going to cost them $16,000, $16,500.
And right now, it's over 15,000. So it's really, I mean, I don't want to say it's not a big increase, but it's not nearly as big as the amounts really where the study told us we probably should be in order to appropriately pay for growth and reduce the burden on the general fund and all the taxpayer dollars. This really comes down to who's paying for growth. And so moving in this direction is really putting us closer to having a new development pay for the growth that's needed within the county.
So it's not by doing this, it's not a burden on us that already lives here and paid that already. So, yes, Dave.
Yeah, this is a quandary, whoops.
It's on. Yeah, I know it's not working. Mine ain't either. It's on.
Come on, there we go.
That's not working.
Yeah. This is a quandary that every organization is facing, and yet, I know with, just take school fees as an example. We're not the only fees that people pay.
For a new
When
home.
they're going to build a house, they have to go in to the school districts, and the school districts have statutory fees as well that they have to pay to, and those fees go towards facilities only for the schools. And the schools have had to adjust their statutory fees in every circumstance to fit the need. They're in dire straits. They need facilities. They're the most expensive facilities to build. They're like $450 a square foot to build. So that it's a big quandary for schools. And so what I'm trying to say is that they've raised their fees. Now we're going to raise our fees. And pretty soon, the ability of the average person in this region to build a home or add on, do these also go with additions as well, right, proportionally?
Supervisor, they do not on the capital facility fee or
that's
the
right.
road
That's
impact.
a-
It is
That's a
not.
one-time fee.
It's a one-time fee, so not based on addition. On the commercial side of things, if someone came in and were to expand a mini mart from a 1,500 square foot to a 2,000, then that addition would get
Right.
calculated.
But a house
based on that.
addition is you've already paid your
one-time fee.
fees, and
Correct.
all you're paying for is building permits and your cost, basic costs of the county coming out, inspecting your project and your plan permits and approval and all
If
that.
the school
stuff.
fees due
Yeah,
on an expansion, you've got to
Right.
pay the school fees.
yeah, you got to pay the whole thing if it's over 500 square feet.
Yeah.
If it's under 500, you don't have to pay it. Yeah, and the reason I'm asking that is a lot of people, I think the day of the single-family residence is just about over. I mean, people are moving in with their children, they're consolidating, families are consolidating. I see a lot of it. And they add on to their house, and I know of a family right now that's doing that, so.
My son lives with me.
Yeah, it's necessary, and necessity is the mother of invention. So what I'm trying to say is that, yeah, it's a fine line, and we really have to walk that tightrope carefully. Even phasing it in, I think, when you look at the ability of people to pay, the rise in the market, I just don't know where I sit on this yet. It's got me in a quandary.
Eric.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I think those are some very valid points, and I think it's probably worth noting that we do have some feedback from the Building Industry Association and even some of the developers, and the 20% increase hasn't been something that's of real concern to them. Even beyond that, I think we've gotten some feedback from the BIA that even higher than that probably wouldn't be of concern. So
Okay.
if that helps address some of your...
That does help me a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, if I could just tag on a little bit, right? It's a very good point, so that's why we've recommended a 20%.
Phase
The
in.
resolution before you, right, doesn't include that 5-year roll-in. So we'll be back before you, right, so that this is an
Don't
annual.
automatically do it.
Does not automatically adjust
Okay,
to that.
that's a good point.
So it's a one-time
I
at
didn't
this
really hear that
stage.
part of it.
That's a one-time increase at this stage. And if I could just piggyback on a few things, because I've heard some concerns from the public that the development community, especially on the 41 corridor, isn't required to pay this fee.
Right.
That is not correct.
That's totally.
They must pay this fee. They must pay the increased fee. For example, in Riverstone, we have approximately 346 homes that have been issued out there. The county's collected approximately $5 million in impact fees just within Riverstone on the single-family dwelling construction that's occurred. Another aspect is those fees are paid at close of escrow within those new developments. So it's not at time of building permit, but it's
Putting a
actual at
burden on the
occupancy.
developer and all that.
Absolutely. It occurs at the occupancy, which is when the impact commences, when you have folks
exactly.
living there and traveling to there. So
There's some school districts that are actually doing that as well. They're taking the close of escrow fees as well. So
That's good,
I think
because they
that's a
usually
good
do it
plan.
as when you pull a permit.
Yeah.
yeah, so I just wanted to make sure that was clear and on the record that the development community on that 41 corridor is absolutely paying this fee. They have
New
to
ones
pay
come
this
in, they
fee.
got to pay the new, so.
Absolutely.
Because I already had a big argument on a person saying me that too. And I said, they pay that and more, because they're paying for their fire, they're paying for their sheriff, besides these impact fees.
That's right.
So,
That is correct, yes, and they pay the increase too. There's language within the development agreement that stipulates they have to pay, if an impact fee is increased, they have to pay that increased
as it
cost.
comes, right. Yeah. Dave?
Yeah, I do believe that development needs to pay its way, and and when I say that, I mean the people that are purchasing homes and coming into the area are having impacts, and they need to be responsible for those impacts. I know that, using the school districts again as an example, in our area in Chowchilla, we had two different bonds, one for the high school and one for the elementary school district. Now, it's been years and years, those facilities are 100 years old, and they needed to be upgraded. And so we passed those bonds. We had two different bonds that we passed over the years. But I would not expect that to happen again. And looking at the circumstances, 100-year-old building needed renovation, this and that. But they raised their statutory fees to compensate for the circumstances and for new development. And they do need new facilities, but the new development needs to pay its way. And going back to bond to the residents is not an acceptable approach every time. I mean, you've got people.
They can do it right now.
Yeah, I mean, you got people that have retired, their children are grown, and they should not have to pay for somebody else's kids to go to school. That's the way it is. And the same is true of a community where new residents have come and they make these impacts. It's not fair to ask the residents who have been there for 25 years paying taxes and already having paid their impact fees to make up the hedge for that individual. So we don't want to get to where we're drawing down on the benefits to the community who's already paid to pay for new people.
On this periodic inflation adjustments, can we build that in? That's what we should have been doing when we passed this in '06.
No, Chairman, we're going to have to come back each year. And any change in these fees will require a public hearing. And so
Even the cost of living.
That's correct. And that's been confirmed with County Council.
Okay.
So for these fees in particular, I don't think it hurts that we come back and take a close look at it.
But I mean, it would
So-
just be nice if we had that ability, just like we do on the special districts, that we don't let them get behind like our previous board has.
Yes.
So-
Yes, Chairman. And we've
Okay.
definitely looked into that. So we'll just have to keep that in mind for every future proposed increase.
If you don't.
And that is our
we
plan.
got more to go. Okay, keep going.
Okay. So we already touched on the slide, the couple implementation options. One is to phase in the fee as staff is recommending. The second, as you just mentioned, is to periodically adjust the fees for inflation. One thing that I can add is that you can have a recommendation that staff examines the fees every year, but the board would still have to act on any.
Right. That's okay.
We do that anyway. Yeah.
Okay. And the second portion of our study was a long-range capital improvement plan, so I'll just run through that quickly. It identifies the capital facilities that are known at this point that will be needed to serve the county through 2035. We base this on staff interviews with all the departments that were included in the impact fee study. And it's not a fully exhaustive list. It's sort of a working document and will need to be updated periodically, but it's the best guess at this point as to the types of facilities that will be needed. It identifies for each facility in the plan, you can look at the individual detail, and it identifies potential sources of funding for each project and the projects that could potentially be funded by impact fees. And just note that there are certain projects in the plan that cannot be funded by impact fees. So while it's being presented along with the impact fee schedule, it's not a direct document. So for example, projects that are renovating existing facilities or correcting deficiencies, you can't spend your fees on that, but they are included in the capital improvement plan. And so it also identifies a rough timeline for each project for phasing. So certain projects, staff indicated that they know are going to be needed fairly quickly, and so we've indicated that. Others are, needed down the line, and that's indicated as well. And finally, it includes about $190 million total in capital projects. So here are some of the highlights from the CIPs. This is not all the projects in the CIP, but just some of the ones from each facility category that you can all consider. Under general government, you're looking at a new animal shelter and various improvements, Hall of Justice facility for countywide public protection, some library renovations and relocations, various park improvement projects, a pretty cool boat dock and boat barn project for the sheriff, and a whole bunch of new fire protection facilities. And that comes to the end of the presentation. We're happy to answer any questions you might have.
One quick question.
Yes.
How do we compare with other counties? I didn't see that information.
Good question.
Yeah, so I didn't prepare the increase or the comparison for the 20% increase. The maximum justified increase would have been higher than your neighboring counties.
Okay. By how much?
It depends on the zone, if you're taking a look at the road impact fees and the zone for the other counties that you're comparing, but
in general,
a few $1,000s.
Okay, it would have been.
Yeah, would have been, yeah.
Okay, so we're still below our neighboring counties then.
It depends widely on the county. This puts us much more comparable with some of them, absolutely.
Okay. I just want to make sure we're not overshooting them, by much.
Well, we did notice, though,
remain competitive.
that some of the other counties hadn't updated their fees in a while. So some of them are really likely
Lagging?
going to be increasing their.
We don't want to copy lagging because that's not
Yeah.
a good practice either, but I think being competitive is a very important point.
Okay. Any other question? Any from the public? This is a public hearing. Thank you. Glad to see you're here.
So Chairman, you've opened up the public hearing now.
Yes.
Good morning, Chairman and members of the board. Mike Prandini, I'm representing the Building Industry Association. I just want to say very briefly, we do not oppose the 20% increase. And obviously, when the staff comes back next year, we'll be sitting down with them to determine what's a reasonable increase. We also have some concern about the facilities that are included in there, and I think the industry has some disagreement on what facilities can, and the size of the facilities, for instance. The study included an exact duplication of this facility. We don't think that's going to be needed for the next 25 years. So it may be some expansion, but we don't think this whole facility will have to be duplicated. And that's a concern for us. But right now, the 20% increase is not a problem for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Appreciate that engineering analysis as well.
Any other comment from the public? I'm going to close the public hearing, and what's your pleasure, board?
I move to approve staff's recommended 20% increase in fees with the corrections proposed by the county council.
I'll second it.
Okay, roll call, please.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Vote passes 4-0, one absent.
I hear you.
Okay, item 6B.
6B, County Administration Department, General Services Division. Public hearing, purchase of real property, 312 South G Street, APN 010-162-002. One, discussion and consideration to adopt a resolution approving the purchase of real property located at 312 South G Street, assessors parcel number 010-162-002 for the Hall of Justice project. 2, discussion and consideration of approval of transfer of appropriations number 18-032 in the amount of $415,000, transfer from development impact fees, countywide public protection, appropriations for contingency to development impact fees, countywide public protection, operating transfers out, capital project. 4 votes required. 3, discussion and consideration of approval of receipt of unanticipated revenue number 18-033 in the amount of $415,000 derived from development impact fees, countywide public protection, to be appropriated to DA probation building land. 4 votes required.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Maria Miranda with General Services. Before you today is the purchase of real property located at 312 South G Street here in Madera. The property is needed for our Hall of Justice project, which will include the construction of a new 3-story building across from the Madera Superior Court for our DA and probation departments. The purchase price for the property is $350,000, which is the appraised value. In addition, we are requesting to transfer funds for relocation costs for the owner and tenants. Estimated relocation costs are $63,000. We are currently in schematic design for the project and estimate coming back to your board in December with a contract to complete design and construction documents with Ross Drulis Kuzenberry Architecture. We anticipate full design being complete by winter 2019, going out to bid for construction in late 19, early 2020, with construction complete by fall 2021. And with that, I'm available for questions.
Pretty good aggressive schedule there. Government don't work that fast.
I love it.
Yeah. Any questions from the board members? I'm going to open up the public hearing. Any comments from the public on this? Seeing none, I appreciate that. Close the public hearing. What's your pleasure, board?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
We got a second from Max. Roll call, please.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Vote passes 4-0, 1 absent.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you, your staff. Good job. 6C.
6C, Board of Directors, Special Districts, County Service Area Number 9, Mudge Ranch, Public Works Department, Maintenance and Operations Division.
What you all been waiting for.
Public hearing to consider adoption of resolution establishing an increase in assessment from $100 per parcel to $278 per parcel, which will be indexed for inflation for County Service Area 9, Mud Ranch for road maintenance.
Okay, staff.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm Alakiat with Public Works. With me here is Ms. Alex Rodriguez, and in my own biased opinion, one of the best admin assistants that the county has. Anyway,
Wow.
County Service Area.
Yeah. Whoopee, whoopee.
She didn't know that part. County Service Area 9, Mudge Ranch, CSA 9, we'll call it, was formed in 1981. This district consists of 81 parcels served by 3.5 miles of roads. Over the years, the district has recognized some steady deterioration of their roads. Last year, some of the property owners engaged the county to initiate a special election in an effort to increase the road maintenance assessment to conduct some more substantial repairs. The department hired A&M consulting engineers to conduct an engineer assessments report. A community meeting was held with the property owners in June, where staff introduced the report to them. At the conclusion of this meeting, it was the general consensus to move forward with this Proposition 218, election based on the district's road maintenance needs outlined in the report. We are here before you today to do just that. Your board adopted a resolution of intent on September 21st and directed staff to send out official ballots noticing the proposed increase. After the required 45 days noticing period, we are here today to tabulate those ballots. Only upon a favorable vote by the community can the resolution before you be passed.
Is it 50.1?
Correct. And we have 8 yes. Each ballot will carry equal weight. Unless a majority of the ballots submitted vote in favor of the increase, the assessment cannot be increased and the district will not have additional funds for road maintenance purposes. So that's the reason we're here today, and I thank you, and we're here for any questions.
Any questions from the member? Or the Board of Directors, okay. I guess we,
at
we
this
want to get, do we do public comment first?
Either way, Chairman, you can hear the tally of the votes, and then here, I think you should open it up to the public first, because they can
what I
also
was
come
wondering.
here and also give their ballot. And so after you close the public hearing, you can hear from the chief clerk of the board the tally before the board takes any action.
Can I open up the public hearing? You want to talk before the vote, or do you want to talk after the vote? Okay. You can come up now, just state your name and address. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Nancy Taylor. My address is 36723 Barkus Court South in Coarsegold in Mudge Ranch.
Paul Richardson, address 50433 Marcus Circle.
Okay.
Okay. We had formed the committee back a few years ago, and at that time, we as the neighborhood had expressed that we wanted to increase our road assessment tax. And so, as he spoke, we've gotten to this point now today. The main concern why we're here to speak on behalf of most of the neighbors, have called us and said that their concern was when we receive this ballot in the mail, it states in the ballot that from here on forward, that the road assessment tax can be increased every year annually. And we do have a lot of retirees, older retirees, that are on a very limited income, and their concern was this was never mentioned before until the ballot was mailed out. And so the question that we have for these people concerned is there a cap, or is there a limit on how much this assessment can be increased annually?
I believe the increase is only for the CIP.
Correct.
CPI, yeah.
yeah.
One of those. We've got a lot of those. CPI, and I believe it can't be nothing else, right?
No.
So explain that.
You're correct, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for your question, and I apologize if this wasn't clear enough when you met with us. But usually all assessments going forward are done the proper way, and the proper way is there will always be consumer price index or increase in certain, basically it's a cost of living increase,
CPI.
which will be a percentage that varies depending on the indices that we get.
And
It averages about 2% per year.
2%.
Yeah.
And
And
we
that's
have not,
for years.
right, and so you guys know, for 50 years, they've never done that, and that's the reason we're all in this position where we are. So every special district that we have approved, we've got 142 special districts in Madera County, 120 is in our district. And so we have approved increases for a lot of them. They all have the CPI. We will not do it, this board will not put that burden on any of the future owners there, that they're gonna have to get behind like this and have a big increase from $100 to $278. If we had been, since this was formed in 1981, if we had had that CPI, you probably wouldn't be standing here right now.
Yeah. And if I may add one more thing, both are accurate statements. Supervisor Rogers said it's about 2%, correct, 2% plus or minus. But regardless, every 5 years, we will come and sit down with you and see your needs, whether they are met, short, or over, and we will adjust that number below or above.
Up or down. Yeah.
Right.
Is it possible to put a limit on the increase that would be every year? Let's say $20 or $50, and if it's more than that you would send out another letter to everybody there to?
I don't think it's ever gonna be that
No,
much.
it will never be that
Ever.
much. Yeah.
It'd never be that.
We're talking
2%.
$5, maybe,
Yeah.
yeah,
$5
2% of the 278.
It will never be that. If it's got a CPI that high, we're all in deep doo-doo, buddy.
Everybody is.
We'll all be under, all of us.
Your protection is that the consumer price index is set by an independent organization.
Right.
It's adjusted by what is happening with the economics.
Right.
And if,
What's the
as
biggest
Lamont
increase
said,
3%.
that ever went up?
As
Baker,
Lamont said,
how
if
much
it-
of the CPI ever went up that you can remember?
the highest,
I think 15 to 20%. No, I'm teasing. No, it's usually.
I'm gonna backhand him.
That's
No.
what we were worried about.
It's
Yeah,
where
I know, I would
it's
too.
the last time something like that happened was back in 1980 or 81 when interest rates went to 21%. But since that time, the Fed's gotten a hold of things, and so it's usually been around that 2% range.
For over
Yeah, the
50
reason I
years
asked it,
almost.
I've been up there for 30 years, and I remember when I bought the property, I believe the fee at that time was $50, and then it went to $100. But I don't remember ever getting a letter changing it from 50 to 100.
Well, see, in those days, the board could do that.
They could
The
just
board of
pass it
directors.
without-
But
oh,
Prop
okay.
218 passed about 10, 12 years ago. That can't happen no more. They cannot do that. We've got to, if we want to do any of that, all has to have a 218 vote, period. And all the citizens get to vote. If they don't vote, that's their problem. But they all have that right to vote. We cannot do that now. We can't raise this $5 without you having a 218 vote, except
Except for the CPI, yeah.
That's the only thing we can do, and that's in the law.
In other words, if it goes over $5, you would have to get,
No, it is.
No, the CPI. I'm just
CPI
saying,
establishes
if we wanted to raise it $5, we would have to come to you and do a 218 vote. You guys get to vote on that,
Outside of the.
not us,
Outside of the seat.
outside of the CPI.
Outside of the CPI.
outside of, how high could that go, the CPI?
Well, that's what he said. It's been,
About-
for 30 years, it's been about 2% average,
A year.
a year.
A year.
So that's not even $5, so.
But it could go as high as,
Yeah, well, the sky could fall in too, but it's not, it's highly unlikely.
Never seen any kind of interest rate since those early 80s, ever.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, so hypothetically speaking, if the price of asphalt or HMA goes up 100%, definitely we cannot utilize your current assessment. But that will never happen. So we're just going to adjust as the indices move. If the price of oil goes up, then that's what dictates the 1 to 3%, maybe higher or less.
Up or down.
And other factors too. But usually that's what it is. It's the cost of doing business.
During,
Right,
during the
correct.
recession, it went, a couple of years didn't go up at all. So we're zero
Yeah.
increase.
Zero CPI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, we will always be communicating with you if
Right.
there is a general consensus, if your representative comes to us or you come to us directly and explain the concern, we could always sit down,
Just like you did.
just
when-
like we did now.
I can't remember, the gentleman would come and talk to me at one of my town halls and said he would like to meet and have this where we are today.
yeah, we have Phil Toller came out. with
Yeah,
the
Phil
roads.
he's a
Yes.
great representative. That's the reason I put him
Yeah.
in touch with him.
Yes.
And here we are today. And you guys will have decent roads where a lot of people don't have up there. Yes, Dave?
Yeah, if you did statistics on this, the statistical probability of an increase beyond the CPI average of 2% would be astronomically high, it would be
Be into one.
improbable. And so statistically improbable that you would have anything outlandish happen. 2% average, 2 to 3% maybe at the highest.
So it's
Okay.
two,
Yeah, all right,
okay?
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, no, thank you for concerns because,
thank you.
yes.
Chairman, I would
County
just
Council.
want to make sure, for the record, you're not weighing in on a vote. You've done that separately and are not doing it here at the podium? Okay.
Okay, yeah, that's good to know, so.
Thank you.
Okay, any other people want to talk about the, we got to open comments? Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing now and we'll do the vote. Have at it, girls.
we just need a few more minutes we don't normally open the ballots until the public hearing has started. So
Okay.
just take us a few more minutes.
Okay, no problem. We got, that's what we're here for.
This is our last item anyway,
Yeah.
so we can just take a little break.
Yeah, we can take 5-minute break or 10, whatever it's going to take to do it. Don't hurt nothing.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we're coming back into session. Everything's working, so would you mind doing a count? Sarah or Ahmad, Rhonda, who's gonna do it?
Percentage in favor, 33.33%. Percentage opposed, 66.67%.
Opposed.
Opposed.
It didn't pass?
So it failed.
Really? Wow.
This is a majority vote of ballots casted.
Yep, that's all, just the only ones cast. How many was the for?
We had 33% for, in favor of.
No, how many numbers?
Do we have it broken down that way?
So, yes, would you like to clarify that, or would you like me to? Yeah.
There are 81 residents, correct?
Correct.
So we
Yeah,
would
81
need
parcels.
81 ballots.
81 ballots, so we would need 41, 42 opposed for the Prop 218 to fail. So it's 50%
I thought it
plus
had to be
one.
just the ones that voted.
No,
Because if
it's
they don't show up, I thought it was a yes vote. We've done that before. It's a yes
Yes.
vote, yeah.
So there's not 41, 42 in opposition.
So it does pass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's take a 2-minute break, if you don't mind, Chairman,
Yeah.
just so I can look at the numbers and we
Yeah,
can.
give me those numbers. I don't want percent, I want numbers.
So there's 81, there are 81 property owners. Yep, Chairman, members of the board, thank you for giving me some time. Fees, taxes, assessments are all different in the law when it comes to water and sewer versus road. That's also a distinction, so I wanted to take a few minutes to get the law in front of myself and my colleague. This is the majority of the ballots submitted have to be in the affirmative. And so those property owners that did not submit a ballot, that vote isn't counted one way or the other. And the notice that went out to the residents does say the assessment can be approved if a majority of the ballots submitted vote in favor of the assessment. And so here we do not have a majority of the ballots submitted. And so the assessment is unable to be increased based on the ballots submitted. And what we are trying to do, Chairman, because I know that this came from the residents and a need to improve road maintenance, is there is also a provision in the law that does not allow the county to conduct another another Prop 218 hearing for another year, and unfortunately, but we will do a little bit of research to see if we might do that for these residents and the improvements that they would like to see on their roads. Yeah.
That sucks.
I think we've received 33 votes.
33 ballots, yeah.
And 22 were against and 11 were in favor, so.
Okay. Okay, well, sorry, folks. We adjourn the meeting. Thank you.